I stare at my phone screen, reading the message again as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less painful. They don't. This year it's just Melissa's family. Hope you understand. The crisp November sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Boston condo, catching on the crystal vase I splurged on last week. Outside, sailboats dot the harbor, their white sails bright against the deep water. Everything in this space I've created speaks of success. The minimalist furniture in soft whites and grays, the original artwork, the uncluttered surfaces. Nothing betrays the hollow feeling spreading through my chest. My thumb hovers over the screen. A dozen responses form and dissolve in my mind. Questions, accusations, pleas. In the end, I type a single word. Enjoy. I set the phone down carefully on the marble countertop, then press my palms flat against the cool surface. My reflection in the polished granite shows a woman composed, successful, unfazed. Only the slight tremble in my hands reveals the truth. Just yesterday, I was standing in Williams-Sonoma, selecting personalized stockings for my nieces and nephews. A cashmere throw for Grandma Margaret. A special bottle of scotch for Uncle Robert. Even a hand-carved cheese board for Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim, my parents, despite our strained relationship. Grandma Margaret had called last week, her voice warm with affection. "You're still coming for Thanksgiving at your parents', right? I can't wait to see you, sweetheart." "Wouldn't miss it," I'd told her, smiling as I stirred the cranberry chutney I'd been perfecting from her recipe. 3 test batches later, it was finally right, tart but sweet, with just enough spice. Perfect for the family dinner table. The phone rings, jarring me from the memory. Cousin Derek's name flashes on the screen. "Brianna? Have you heard?" His voice holds the same stunned disbelief I'm feeling. "About Thanksgiving? Just got the text." "It's not just you," Derek says, his voice tight. "They've cut out almost everyone except Melissa's crew. 18 people, Brie. 18 family members suddenly uninvited." My fingers tighten around the phone. "What? Why would they?" "Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim only want Melissa's perfect family at their perfect table," Derek spits out. "God forbid they include the rest of us commoners." I close my eyes. This isn't just about this year. It's about a lifetime of being the second choice, the afterthought. Christmas gifts that were practical while Melissa's were extravagant. Parent-teacher conferences they were too busy to attend while they rearranged schedules for Melissa's volleyball games. The pattern so familiar I stopped noticing its sting years ago. "You there?" Derek asks. "Yeah, just processing. We're thinking about getting together at Grandma's instead, but her place is too small for everyone." I move to the window, watching the late autumn light play across the water. For a moment, I see myself as others might, successful, independent, unaffected by family drama. The hurt girl inside me wants to retreat, lick her wounds in private, pretend it doesn't matter. But something shifts inside me as I stand there. The sunlight catches on the harbor water, momentarily blinding me with its brilliance. When my vision clears, my reflection in the glass shows something different, a straightening of my shoulders, a lifting of my chin. The hurt remains, but beside it grows something stronger. I reach for my phone again, scrolling through contacts until I find the number I need. "Chef Martin? It's Brianna Campbell." I pause, my voice growing firmer with each word. "I'd like to host Thanksgiving dinner for 32 people at my New Hampshire estate." There's surprise in his voice when he responds, but also respect. "That's quite an undertaking on short notice, Miss Campbell." "I'm aware." My gaze drifts back to the text message still open on my screen. "But I believe it's time for a new tradition, one where everyone has a place." As I hang up, I feel a strange calm settle over me. They've made their choice, cutting me from their table without a second thought. Now I'm making mine. And I suspect they'll regret theirs sooner than they think. Later that day, the Boston skyline glitters against the darkening November sky as I unlock the climate-controlled storage unit. Inside waits a decade of memories I've kept at arm's length, preserved but untouched, like artifacts from another life. I pull the string on the overhead light. The fluorescent bulb flickers twice before steadying, casting harsh shadows across cardboard boxes labeled in my precise handwriting: high school, college, family photos. My fingers hover over the last box. Something inside me wants to turn around, go back to my condo, pretend the text message never happened. But another part, the part that made the call to Chef Martin, pushes me forward. The cardboard flaps open with a soft whisper of dust. The first album lies on top, its leather cover cracked with age. I settle onto the concrete floor, crossing my legs like I did as a child, and begin turning pages. Every photo tells the same story. Melissa centered in the frame, beaming. My parents positioned protectively around her, and me always slightly offset, as if the photographer couldn't quite fit me properly into the family portrait. In some, I'm partially cropped out, my shoulder or part of my face missing from the shot. You moved right when I clicked. My mother would always explain when I'd point it out. After a while, I stopped mentioning it. I turned to the Christmas morning series from 1995. Melissa unwrapping the deluxe art set she'd been coveting, her face illuminated with joy. 2 pages later, a single photo of me holding up a practical winter coat, my smile tight and practiced. I remember that morning with perfect clarity, how I'd hoped for the telescope I'd circled in catalogs for months, how I'd pretended the disappointment didn't cut. Deeper in the box, I find my MIT acceptance letter, still in its original envelope. The paper is crumpled, smoothed flat again afterward. The memory rushes back, running into the kitchen, letter clutched in my hand, interrupting my father's morning coffee. I got in, I'd announced, unable to contain my excitement. Full admission to MIT computer science program. My father had glanced up, then returned to his newspaper. Computer science? What kind of real career is that for a girl? My mother had squeezed my shoulder. We just worry about you, honey. Melissa's teaching degree will always be practical. I traced my finger over the MIT emblem, remembering how I'd folded the letter back into its envelope that morning, tucked it into my pocket, and walked to the park alone to cry where they couldn't see. Next comes a stack of pay stubs from the 3 jobs I worked through college campus: cafeteria mornings, library afternoons, coding freelance into the night. My parents had refused to help with tuition, claiming they couldn't afford it. Yet 6 months later, they refinanced their house to pay for Melissa's extravagant wedding. I found out when my father mentioned the new mortgage payment during a rare Sunday dinner call, worth every penny. He'd said proudly, "Every father dreams of giving his daughter her perfect day." I was their daughter too. The thought still burns, even now. A wrinkled bank loan application emerges from between faded notebooks, my sophomore year desperate attempt to secure financing when scholarship funds fell short. The loan officer had been apologetic. Without a co-signer with stronger credit, I just can't approve this amount. When I'd asked my parents, my mother had clicked her tongue against her teeth. Borrowing money is irresponsible, Brianna. Maybe you should take a semester off, work more hours. I never took a semester off. I just worked until exhaustion became my normal state. My phone buzzes with an incoming call. Grandma Margaret's name lights up the screen. "I just heard," she says when I answer, her voice tight with anger. "Linda told me they're keeping Thanksgiving small this year. What she didn't say was that they're cutting out half the family to do it." "It's fine," I say automatically, the response worn smooth through years of use. "It is not fine," Grandma Margaret snaps. "I know what they did. It's been happening your whole life. I should have said something years ago." Her words hit like physical pressure against my chest, validation I never expected. "I'm hosting instead," I tell her, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "At the New Hampshire place. Everyone's invited. The house you bought last year, the one they never visited even though you invited them for Memorial Day? That's the one." There's a pause, then Grandma Margaret's voice softens. "I'll be there with bells on, sweetheart, and I'll make sure everyone knows you're the one who saved Thanksgiving." After we hang up, my phone pings with text messages. Derek has been rallying the troops, cousins, aunts, uncles, all responding with enthusiasm. My executive assistant Olivia has already arranged transportation for elderly relatives who can't drive the distance. Chef Martin has sent a proposed menu that honors our family traditions while elevating them to something special. I pack the memories away, sealing the box with more care than it probably deserves. Tomorrow I'll drive to New Hampshire to prepare the house. The next day, the winding driveway to my estate is lined with ancient maples, their branches now bare against the gray November sky. The colonial revival mansion appears around the final curve, white columns standing sentinel against weathered brick, windows gleaming like watchful eyes. $6.2 million. The number had barely registered when I signed the papers last year. Just another transaction, another investment. I never thought I'd actually use it as a home. Alan, the caretaker, meets me at the front door. His weathered face creases with a smile. "Good timing, Miss Campbell. Weather Service is predicting snow next week. I've checked the generator twice, just to be safe." Thank you, Alan. We'll have about 30 guests for Thanksgiving. If he's surprised, he doesn't show it. I'll make sure everything's in order. When will you need the rooms prepared? I'll handle the guest rooms personally, I tell him. Later, I stand in the first guest bedroom, smoothing fine cotton sheets across a 4-poster bed. For Grandma Margaret, the softest pillows I could find, and a small vase of dried lavender by the bedside, her favorite. For Uncle Robert and Aunt Sarah, matching quilts I'd commissioned from an artisan in Vermont. For the children, baskets of toys and books selected for each age group. I unwrap a small package, 32 personalized place cards for the dining table, each hand calligraphed. I run my finger over the raised ink of my own name, wondering where I would have been seated at my parents' table. Probably the far end, if I had been seated at all. Standing in the grand dining room with its 15-foot ceiling and wall of windows overlooking the property's pond, I imagine voices filling the space, laughter, conversation, the clatter of silverware against china. A question surfaces, unwanted. Am I doing this out of love or revenge? Both, probably. The thought should trouble me more than it does. I place my own card at the head of the table and step back, surveying the room. For a moment, I see it through my mother's eyes, the tasteful luxury, the understated wealth, the careful planning. Let them see what their second-best daughter has built. Let them wonder what else they missed while they were busy looking the other way. I glance at my phone for the 5th time in an hour. Mother's latest text glows accusingly on the screen. You're embarrassing the family with this spectacle. People are talking. The irony nearly makes me laugh. After excluding me from their table without a second thought, now they worry about appearances. I set my phone down next to the hand-carved place cards I've been labeling for each guest. Alan, the estate's caretaker, appears in the doorway of the dining room. His weathered face carries concern beneath his usual stoic expression. Miss Campbell, Weather Service is reporting a possible storm system moving in this afternoon. How severe? I ask, continuing to arrange the place settings. Enough to worry about. I've checked the generator twice, but with 30-some people here. He leaves the rest unsaid. I nod, making a mental note to have extra blankets placed in each room. Thank you, Alan. Let's hope it passes us by. When he leaves, I open my social media app against my better judgment. Melissa's latest post appears at the top of my feed. So blessed to celebrate with true family this year. The ones who matter most. Real Thanksgiving. Family first. The comments overflow with heart emojis from her in-laws and neighborhood friends. None mention the 18 family members suddenly deemed unworthy of inclusion. My voicemail icon blinks with an unheard message. Father's voice fills my ear. The familiar condescending tone that always made me feel small. Brianna, your mother and I think you're being dramatic. If you wanted to host your own dinner, you could have discussed it with us instead of 2-7. I delete the message before he can finish. The same father who forgot to attend my college graduation doesn't get to lecture me on family communication. Derek calls minutes later, voice tight. You should know they're calling everyone, trying to convince people not to come to your place, saying you're just showing off. Guy, are people canceling? I ask, sudden dread clutching at my throat. The opposite. Everyone's more determined than ever. Grandma Margaret told Aunt Linda to pound sand. The mental image of my 82-year-old grandmother using those exact words brings the first genuine smile to my face in days. I wander into my home office, fingers trailing along the polished mahogany desk. 5 years ago, this space was a tiny corner in my studio apartment, barely enough room for a laptop and a cup of coffee. I worked 16-hour days building CyberCore's security protocol, while everyone from venture capitalists to my own father told me I was wasting my time. The cybersecurity market is saturated, he'd said when I tried explaining my business model over Christmas dinner. You should get a real job before you end up bankrupt. He'd turned to Melissa then, proudly announcing her promotion to assistant manager at the department store where she'd worked part-time for 3 months. I remember the night everything changed. 3 years into building the company, surviving on ramen and determination, my phone rang at 2 a.m. A major client system had detected an intrusion attempt that would have cost them millions. My protocol had caught what every other security layer had missed. Within a week, we had 4 new contracts. Within a year, acquisition offers. The day I signed the final papers selling CyberCore for $420 million, I called my parents. Mother answered, talked about Melissa's twins for 15 minutes, then said she needed to go before I could share my news. Now I stand in a home worth more than everything they own combined, preparing to host the family they decided wasn't worth their time. The first flakes of snow begin to fall as the earliest guests arrive. Cousin Rachel and her husband pull up in their sensible sedan, 3 children tumbling out with shouts of excitement at the sight of the estate. Is this a castle? 7-year-old Emma asks, eyes wide with wonder. Just a very big house, I tell her, kneeling to her level despite my designer dress. More vehicles appear on the winding driveway as the snow thickens. Alan and his team help elderly relatives navigate the steps, while Chef Martin directs his assistants in final preparations. The house fills with voices, laughter, the scents of rosemary and sage. I'm arranging flowers in the entryway when a commotion at the door draws my attention. Grandma Margaret stands in the doorway, her silver hair dusted with snowflakes, cheeks flushed with cold, and something like defiance. Your mother thinks I'm in bed with a headache, she announces, handing her coat to Alan. I'd rather be here with people who know what family truly means. She cups my face in her soft, papery hands. They've been doing this to you since you were little, you know. I should have spoken up sooner. The simple acknowledgement nearly undoes me. All these years, I thought no one had noticed. Within an hour, the house overflows with life. Children race through hallways that have never known such joyful noise. Cousins appear with additional side dishes and decorations. Derek organizes a system for elderly relatives to rest between socializing. In the kitchen, Chef Martin orchestrates a feast that honors tradition while feeling special. The cranberry chutney I'd perfected sits alongside his elevated versions of family recipes. When I thank him for accommodating the last-minute event, he simply says, "Creating joy through food is why I left New York. This is what matters." The snow intensifies through the afternoon, transforming into a proper blizzard. Windows rattle with wind as we gather at the dining table, 32 chairs, each occupied. No one excluded, no one forgotten. Uncle Robert has just stood to offer a toast when the lights flicker once, twice, then plunge the room into darkness. Generator will kick in, Alan calls from somewhere in the darkness. But seconds stretch into a minute with no result. Instead of panic, something remarkable happens. Someone starts humming, "Amazing Grace." Another voice joins, then another. Cell phone flashlights illuminate faces around the table. Grandma Margaret's trembling soprano rises clear above the others. Derek and his teenage sons distribute candles from the emergency supply. In their dancing light, I see something I've spent my life searching for: genuine connection. Not the carefully curated family image my parents maintained, but something real, imperfect, and beautiful. When the generator finally sputters to life 20 minutes later, restoring light and heat, part of me wishes it hadn't. In that candle-lit darkness, we found what had been missing at my parents' perfectly lit table. Alan appears at my side. Storms knocked out power across the county. Reports say your parents' neighborhood will be without electricity for at least 8 hours. Are they okay? The question comes automatically, despite everything. Generator at their house is working, from what I hear, he says. But I thought you should know they've got just the 7 of them in that big house, while we've got 32 people warm and fed. As I look around at the faces of those my parents deemed unworthy of their table, I realize something profound. They thought excluding me was taking something away. Instead, they gave me the final push I needed to create something better than what they offered. The lights illuminate my family chosen, and blood filling my home with more warmth than any generator could provide. The next day, my phone buzzes with notifications as I refill Grandma Margaret's coffee. Winter sunshine floods through the estate's eastern windows, casting long rectangles of light across the living room where several relatives linger over breakfast pastries. The blizzard has passed, leaving behind a pristine white landscape that sparkles under the morning sunday. "Someone's popular today," Grandma Margaret says, her eyes twinkling over her mug. I glance at my phone, surprised to see dozens of social media alerts. At the top, a notification from my nephew Tyler, at Brianna Campbell. "Look what an amazing Thanksgiving we had." When I open it, my breath catches. Tyler has posted a series of photos from yesterday, the magnificent feast spanning the length of my dining room table, candles glowing as family members raise glasses in toast, cousins laughing by the fireplace when the power went out. The estate looks magical, captured in the evening snow with every window glowing with warmth against the darkness. "Did you see what Tyler posted?" Cousin Rachel asks, coming downstairs with her phone. It's going viral in our hometown circles. I scroll through more posts. Cousin Derek shared a video of everyone singing by the fireplace, voices blending in harmony while snow fell outside. Aunt Elaine uploaded a stunning shot of the dessert table with Chef Martin's apple cranberry tart taking center stage. In almost every photo, the joy is palpable, but I notice something else. You're barely in any of these, Rachel observes, looking over my shoulder. I nod. I didn't need to be. The gathering speaks for itself. My phone rings. Rachel's eyebrows lift as she glimpses the screen. Melissa's husband, she whispers before discreetly stepping away. Hello, Robert, I answer, moving toward the kitchen. Brianna, his voice sounds strained. I just wanted to say yesterday looked nice. It was, I reply, simply. He clears his throat. I, accidentally tagged your parents in a comment on Tyler's post. Melissa's pretty upset. Understanding dawns. I see. Your mom called this morning. 5 times. He pauses. People are asking questions. After we hang up, I return to my social media feed. The situation becomes immediately clear. Robert's innocent comment. Looks amazing. Wish we could have been there too. Tagged my parents, allowing their friends to discover the other Thanksgiving they knew nothing about. Within hours, the posts have spread beyond family. My parents' neighbors have commented with surprise. Church members are asking pointed questions. What makes it worse for them is the unavoidable visual comparison. Someone created a split-screen image. My vibrant feast with 32 people versus what appears to be my parents' half-empty table of 7 people, including Melissa's family. The contrast couldn't be more stark, which gathering truly represented family. Your mother called me, Grandma Margaret says, joining me by the window. She's quite upset. What did you tell her? Grandma Margaret's smile holds decades of restrained opinions finally finding voice. I told her it was the first time the family felt whole in years. My phone continues buzzing with notifications. Uncle Robert posted about the best Thanksgiving in memory. Cousins tag each other with messages of gratitude. Chef Martin shared professional photos of his creation, tagging my company with high praise for the hostess. Then someone innocently comments on the original post. Why weren't Brianna's parents there? Seems strange they'd miss such an amazing family gathering. The question hangs in digital space, unanswered. By noon, my parents start calling. I let it go to voicemail 3 times before finally answering. How could you do this to us? My mother's voice quivers with anger rather than remorse. Do what exactly? I keep my tone neutral, watching snowflakes begin to fall again outside. Throw some extravagant party just to make us look bad. You're just showing off your money. The accusation would have stung a year ago. Now, I simply observe the feeling pass through me without taking hold. I only set another table because you told me I wasn't invited to yours. You know that wasn't. She stops abruptly as my father's voice rumbles in the background. Put him on speaker, I suggest. There's a fumbling sound, then my father's voice. Brianna, this has gotten out of hand. Maybe we should discuss this in person. We can discuss whatever you'd like, I reply. But first, I want to clarify something. 2 months ago, at Melissa's birthday dinner, I mentioned selling my company. No one asked a single question. No one seemed to hear me at all. Silence stretches between us. I sold Cybercore for $420 million, Dad. But when I mentioned it, no one listened. I hear his sharp intake of breath, then stammering. I didn't realize. I know, I say quietly. You never have. As I end the call, Derek appears with a fresh pot of coffee. Everything okay? I look around at the remaining family members in my home, people who chose to stay an extra day, who helped clean up without being asked, who treated my home with respect, and me with genuine interest. Actually, I say with unexpected lightness, I think it finally is. For the first time in my life, I don't need my parents' table. I've built something better. The doorbell's unexpected chime cuts through my Sunday morning quiet. I glance at my phone, no texts, no calls announcing visitors. My stomach tightens as I approach the peephole. Mother and father stand in the hallway, mother clutching a worn leather photo album to her chest like a shield. I consider pretending I'm not home, but that's the old Brianna. The woman who sold her tech company for hundreds of millions doesn't hide anymore. I open the door and stand firmly in the threshold. This is a surprise. We were in the neighborhood, father says, his voice unnaturally bright. Thought we'd stop by. Mother holds up the album. Found some old photos I thought you might like to see. The practiced casualness in their voices tells me this visit was planned, calculated. 3 days after they discovered the extent of my wealth through social media, they appear on my doorstep. The timing isn't subtle. I step back, allowing them entry. Come in. They enter my space cautiously, eyes widening at the floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Boston Harbor. Mother runs her finger along my marble countertop while father examines the original Rothko on my dining room wall. Quite a place you have here, he says. I don't respond to the fishing comment. Instead, I gesture toward the living room. Would you like to sit down? They perch on my white sofa, suddenly looking small against the backdrop of my success. Mother opens the photo album on the coffee table. Remember this birthday? You were turning 8. She points to a photo where little Melissa stands center frame blowing out candles on a cake while I hover at the edge, my face half cropped from the image. I remember, I say quietly. That was the year you forgot to get me a cake for my birthday 3 months later. Grandma Margaret made cupcakes instead. Mother's smile falters. That's not. It is, I interrupt, my voice steady. I have the journal entries. I walk to my office and return with a storage box. The label reads simply, evidence. I've been collecting it for years, not for this confrontation, but for my own sanity, to confirm I wasn't imagining the pattern. What's all this? Father asks, his forehead creasing. Documentation. I sit across from them and begin removing items methodically. My MIT acceptance letter. I place the crumpled paper on the table. You never came to the ceremony. Melissa's volleyball tournament was that weekend. Mother shifts uncomfortably. That was important to her career. My bank statements from college. I set down a folder. 3 jobs to cover tuition after you refused to co-sign my student loans. We couldn't afford to take on more debt then, Father protests. The same year you refinanced the house for Melissa's wedding. I keep my voice factual, not accusatory. The therapist I've been seeing for 4 years taught me that. Their eyes dart to each other. A silent conversation I've witnessed my entire life. The quick assessment of what story to tell, what excuse to offer. Brianna. Father leans forward, hands clasped. We should start fresh. The past is the past. We're family, Mother adds, reaching for my hand. I don't extend mine. Father clears his throat. Actually, we've been talking. We know you've done well for yourself now. His voice drops to what he probably thinks is a confidential tone. If you ever need any financial advice, I have a friend who specializes in high net worth individuals. There it is. The real reason for their visit. I have a team of financial advisors, but thank you. I fold my hands in my lap. I don't need your approval anymore, but I do require your respect. Mother's face flushes. We've always respected you. I pull out a small journal with a faded unicorn cover. August 12th, 1998. Mom said my science fair project was showing off. Melissa got a new dress for looking pretty at picture day. I flip pages. November 30th, 2001. Dad laughed when I said I wanted to learn programming. Said computers are for boys who can't play sports. The silence that follows feels weighted with 3 decades of small cruelties. My phone rings, startling all of us. Melissa's name flashes on the screen. The timing is so perfect it almost seems staged, though I know it isn't. It's your sister, I say, answering and putting it on speaker without warning. Hi, Melissa. I'm with Mom and Dad right now. A pause. Oh, they're there? Her voice sounds strange, hesitant. They brought photo albums. I keep my tone neutral. Brianna, Melissa says suddenly. I need to tell you something. I've been thinking since Thanksgiving. She takes an audible breath. I've always been jealous. You're smarter, braver, freer. Being the perfect daughter was just how I hid my fear of losing. Mother's gasp is sharp, her hand covering her mouth. What are you talking about? Father demands, leaning toward the phone. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Melissa says, her voice gaining strength. You've pitted us against each other our whole lives. I got attention for being compliant. Brianna got punishment for being exceptional. The doorbell rings again. This time, I know who it is before opening the door. Grandma Margaret stands in the hallway, her silver hair swept into its usual neat bun, her eyes clear with purpose. I followed them, she says without preamble, walking past me. She stops when she sees my parents on the sofa, the evidence box between them. Good. You're finally having this conversation. Mother, this isn't your concern. My mother starts. I've watched this happen for decades and I won't be silent anymore. Grandma's voice carries the quiet authority of someone who has chosen her moment carefully. Every time Brianna achieved something extraordinary, you found a way to diminish it. Every time she needed support, you were conspicuously absent. Consider. We gave both our daughters everything, Father protests, standing. No, 3 voices say in unison, mine, Grandma's, and Melissa's over the phone. I watch as something finally breaks in my mother's carefully maintained facade. Her shoulders slump, and tears, not the manipulative ones I've seen before when she wanted something, but real tears slide down her cheeks. I didn't realize. She whispers. I didn't see. It's not an apology, not yet. But it's the first crack in a wall that stood between us my entire life. I don't rush to comfort her. That girl is gone. Instead, I sit tall, surrounded by my chosen support system. Grandma physically present, Melissa surprisingly allied from afar. Now you do, I say simply. So, what happens next is your choice. Snow drifts against the windows of my New Hampshire estate, transforming the landscape into a winter wonderland. Christmas lights twinkle along the eaves, reflecting off the pristine white blanket covering the 40 acres. Inside, fires crackle in 3 different hearths, while the scent of pine and cinnamon fills the air. A month has passed since Thanksgiving. A month of cautious text messages, tentative phone calls, and one tearful coffee with my sister. Now I watch through the bay window as 2 cars pull into the circular drive. My parents emerge from one, their movements hesitant. Melissa's family spills from the other, her husband Tom, wrangling their 3 children as they dash toward the front door. My fingers tighten around my coffee mug. They're here. When the doorbell chimes, I open it myself rather than letting Alan handle it. My mother stands with a foil-covered dish, her eyes widening as she takes in the grand foyer with its soaring ceiling and magnificent spiral staircase. Welcome, I say, stepping back to let them in. The children barrel past, squealing at the 15-foot Christmas tree, dominating the great room. We brought sweet potato casserole. Mom offers the dish like a peace offering. I take it with a smile that feels only slightly forced. Perfect. The kitchen's this way. Conversation starts awkwardly but gradually thaws as everyone settles in. The children's laughter echoes through rooms that once stood silent, filling uncomfortable pauses with their innocent joy. Later, I find myself alone in the kitchen with Mom, unpacking serving dishes. Without asking, she rolls up her sleeves and begins arranging appetizers on platters, working alongside me, rather than directing my every move. Your home is beautiful, she says quietly. I never really understood what you built for yourself. I glance up, meeting her eyes. Thank you for coming. In the dining room, Chef Martin has outdone himself. The long mahogany table stretches beneath crystal chandeliers, each place setting personalized. No one sits at the head, the circular arrangement ensures everyone occupies equal space. Dad pauses before taking his seat, surveying the gathered family. Before we eat, I'd like to say something. He clears his throat. To learning from our mistakes. Glasses rise amid murmured agreement. When I look up, I find Mom's hand resting lightly on my shoulder, a touch so tentative it might float away. After dinner, Melissa finds me by the Christmas tree, its lights casting colorful shadows across our faces. Thank you, she whispers, for giving the kids their whole family. My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. Proud of you for giving them a second chance. I smile, glancing around the room. Chef Martin chats with my uncles while Alan, no longer just the caretaker but part of our circle, helps Grandma Margaret with her dessert plate. Even the staff I'd insisted join us rather than work alone on Christmas mingle comfortably with relatives. When glasses are raised for one final toast, Mom stands. Her voice wavers but grows stronger with each word. To new beginnings and to our extraordinary daughter. Later, as snow falls softly outside, I stand in the doorway watching my now complete family. Children doze on laps, adults share stories, and laughter ripples through the room. The truth settles in my heart like a warm ember. Family isn't just blood, it's the people who truly value you. Being excluded from their table allowed me to create my own where everyone is respected. Next Thanksgiving, I'll make it even larger. Everyone deserves a place. I tie one last pink balloon to the fence post and step back to survey my handiwork. The backyard looks magical, if I do say so myself. 9 pink place settings dot the picnic table, each with a matching napkin folded into a crown. The bounce house, a $275 splurge that made my credit card wince, stands inflated and waiting, its princess turrets gleaming in the October sunshine. The pixel princess cake from Mila's favorite video game sits on the dessert table, 9 candles standing at attention. Perfect, I whisper, though nobody's around to hear. I glance at my watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. 11:42. Mom and my sisters should be here by now. They promised to come early and help set up, but that promise evaporated like morning dew. Just like always. The sliding glass door squeaks open behind me, and Mila bursts into the yard, twirling in her new birthday dress. The purple fabric, her royal color, sparkles in the sunlight as she spins. Mom, is it time? Is it time? She bounces on her toes, then freezes. Her eyes dart around the empty backyard, scanning for faces that aren't there. Where's Grandma? And Aunt Savannah and Aunt Lacey? Are they bringing Tyler with them? Did they see the bounce house yet? I force brightness into my voice. They're on their way, sweetie. Probably just running a little late. Mila's face falls for just a second before she rebuilds her smile. Okay, I'm gonna watch for them from the front window. Cried. She dashes back inside, and I bite the inside of my cheek until I taste copper. I should have known better than to believe they'd show up on time. Or at all. The doorbell chimes, and I hear Mila's excited shriek from inside. I hurry around the house just in time to see my daughter's face collapse as she opens the door to find only Aunt Carol standing there, a wrapped present tucked under her arm. Happy birthday, sweet pea, Carol says, stooping to hug Mila. My daughter hugs her back but peers around Carol's shoulder, searching the empty driveway. Is Grandma coming with you? Carol straightens, her eyes meeting mine over Mila's head. Something like anger flashes across her face before she smiles down at my daughter. I came on my own today, honey. But look what I brought you. She hands Mila the gift, beautifully wrapped with a bow that must have taken 20 minutes to perfect. That's Aunt Carol for you. Always thinking about the details. Thank you, Mila says, her voice smaller now. She clutches the package to her chest and looks back at me. Mom, can I put this with the other presents? Of course, baby. The party's already out back. As Mila disappears into the kitchen, Carol steps inside and closes the door. Eleanor and the girls aren't coming, are they? She asks, not bothering to whisper. My phone buzzes in my pocket before I can answer. I pull it out, already knowing what I'll see. Don't be dramatic. It's just a kid's party. We'll make it up to her at Christmas. My mother's words burn on the screen. Just a kid's party. Just my kid's party. I'm guessing that's your answer, Carol says, watching my face harden. She squeezes my arm. I'm sorry, Maya. The doorbell rings again, saving me from having to respond. Parents start dropping off classmates, 8 little girls in party dresses, bearing gift bags and birthday cards. My neighbor from across the street arrives with folding chairs and a cooler of juice boxes. 2 doors down, Mrs. Wilson brings an extra tray of finger sandwiches and a sympathetic smile. For the next hour, I move through the party like I'm underwater, taking pictures, serving cake, supervising the bounce house. Through it all, Mila keeps looking toward the gate, her eyes lighting up every time it opens, then dimming when another classmate arrives instead of her grandmother. When are Grandma and Aunt Savannah and Aunt Lacey and Tyler coming? She asks, for what might be the 10th time, tugging at my shirt as I refill the snack bowl. I'm not sure, sweetie, I say, smoothing her hair. But look at all your friends who came to celebrate with you. She nods and runs back to the bounce house, but the slump in her shoulders tells me everything. This isn't the first time my family has let her down, and something in her 9-year-old heart knows it won't be the last. My mind drifts to last Christmas, when I maxed out my credit card buying gifts for everyone. $840 worth of presents I couldn't afford, because family matters. 3 months ago, I covered Savannah's salon rent when she came up short. $1,650 that I've never seen again and probably never will. Maya can handle it. They always say, she's good with numbers. Good with numbers, like that somehow translates to having extra money. Ever since Dad walked out when I was 20, Mom has treated me like an ATM with legs. You're the head of this family now, she declared the day after he left, as if his departure promoted me to his position of financial provider. My phone pings with a notification. I glance down and my stomach curdles. Savannah has posted on Instagram a photo of her, Mom, Lacey, and Tyler raising mimosa glasses at some fancy brunch spot downtown. The caption reads, "Family first." Family first. Right. Mom? Mom. Mila's voice breaks through my thoughts. She's standing by the present table, surrounded by her friends, ready to open gifts. I tuck my phone away and plaster on a smile. "Coming, birthday girl?" The girls cluster around as Mila tears into her presents. She thanks each friend with genuine delight, but when all the gifts are opened, she looks up at me, her voice trembling slightly. "Did Grandma forget my birthday?" The question stabs straight through my chest. I open my mouth, searching for words that won't come, when Aunt Carol steps in. "Your grandma has a terrible memory sometimes," she says, winking at Mila. "But that just means you might get a surprise another day." Mila brightens a little at this possibility, and the moment passes as the girls rush back to the bounce house for one last jump before their parents arrive. Carol squeezes my hand. "This isn't right, honey." I nod, not trusting myself to speak. When the last classmate has gone home, I retreat to the kitchen with a stack of plates, letting silent tears fall as I wash each one. Through the window, I can see Aunt Carol helping Mila test out her new sidewalk chalk, their heads bent together over a rainbow taking shape on the driveway. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Mom. "Need $350 for a family emergency. Can you transfer it today?" The plate in my hands cracks as I grip it too tightly. I stare at the message. At the timestamp, 3:48 p.m., right in the middle of the party she couldn't be bothered to attend. Something inside me breaks too, a dam I've been patching for years. I set down the broken pieces, dry my hands, and stare at the message a moment longer. The time for tears is over. A week later, my phone buzzes against the kitchen counter while I'm making Mila's lunch. A peanut butter sandwich cut into triangles, apple slices arranged in a smile, and a note with a little heart. Small gestures to show her she matters. The phone buzzes again, and again. The family group chat. I wipe my hands on a dish towel and pick it up, my stomach already tightening. 1 week since Mila's birthday disaster, and I've barely heard a word from any of them. The screen lights up with my mother's message. Exciting news. Savannah's Sweet 16 venue is confirmed. $1,850 per guest with Maya covering Grandma's share since she's on fixed income. Details attached. I nearly drop my phone. Sweet 16? Savannah is 26 years old. Mom means sweet 26. Lacey clarifies in the next message. Theme is second chance at Sweet 16, since her real one was at the VFW hall. My fingers tremble as I open the attached PDF. There, printed in glossy color, is a sponsorship page with my LinkedIn profile picture prominently displayed under Platinum Sponsor, Maya Allen. What the? I bite back the word, aware of Mila's small footsteps padding down the hall. Another text arrives from Lacey. "Maya, you're the accountant. Just handle the deposit. Deadline this weekend." Not a request, a command. "Mom?" Mila appears in the doorway, Lego piece in hand. "Can you help me with this spaceship?" "In a minute, sweetheart." My voice sounds strange, distant even to my own ears. I watch her shuffle back to her room, shoulders slumped in that way that's becoming too familiar. Just like at her birthday party. Just like every time my family makes promises they never keep. After Mila's door clicks shut, I sit at the kitchen table and open my banking app. The balance stares back at me. $4,213.47. Every penny earmarked for Mila's braces next month. On the counter sits the stack of medical bills from when she broke her arm 2 years ago. Insurance covered most of it, but the $1,200 deductible had cleaned out my emergency fund. I'd sold Grandma Rose's silver ring, the only heirloom I owned, to cover the emergency room visit. Grandma Rose, who taught me to balance a checkbook when I was 10, who'd be horrified to see how her daughter treats her granddaughter. My budget spreadsheet is open on my laptop, color-coded, precise to the penny. Rent, $1,025. Utilities, $187.32. Groceries, $420. Car payment, $315.76. After school care, $240. The margins are thin, but we make it work. Our small 2-bedroom isn't much, but I've made it a home. Clean, cared for, safe. I scroll through old Venmo requests from my family. Last month, $650 for Savannah's salon. Emergency. Month before, $420 for mother's new patio furniture. Christmas. $840 for family gifts. None repaid. None even acknowledged beyond a quick, "Thanks, sis," text. My mother, Eleanor, has perfected the art of financial manipulation. She wields guilt like a credit card with no limit. "After all, I sacrificed raising you girls alone," she'll say, conveniently forgetting it was her constant spending that drove Dad away. Savannah, my youngest sister at 26, runs a salon that hemorrhages money faster than she can highlight hair. Every crisis is an emergency, requiring immediate funds. Every loan is just until next month, but somehow next month never comes. Then there's Lacey, 24, opportunistic and drowning in credit card debt from online shopping sprees she can't afford. Somehow her financial problems always become my financial solutions. The doorbell rings, startling me out of my thoughts. "I've got it," Mila calls, running to answer before I can stop her. I hear Aunt Carol's warm voice in the entryway. "Hello, sunshine. Is your mom home?" Carol steps into the kitchen, arms loaded with a casserole dish. Her eyes narrow at my expression. "What happened?" she asks, setting down the food. I wordlessly turn my phone toward her. She reads the message, her mouth tightening into a thin line. "They've got some nerve," she mutters, sinking into a chair beside me. "After missing her birthday." No. They had brunch instead," I say flatly. "I saw the Instagram post." Carol reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. "Your mother has always been like this, even when we were kids, but you don't have to keep playing along." A knock at the back door interrupts us. Mrs. Wilson, my 7-1-year-old neighbor, waves through the window. I gesture her in. "Brought you some banana bread," she says, then stops, reading the room. "Bad time?" "Family drama," Carol explains. Mrs. Wilson nods knowingly. "She's been bringing me casseroles since Mila was born, offering wisdom without judgment. She saw how often I took time off work when family emergencies struck, witnessed the parade of relatives asking for favors but never returning them. Your coworker, James, called. Mrs. Wilson says. Something about covering your shift tomorrow if you need it? Said to tell you he's returning the favor. James, always willing to swap shifts when mother demands my presence for some crisis. One of the few people who actually reciprocates. Mommy? Mila stands in the doorway, clutching a piece of paper. Can I hang this on the fridge? It's a school drawing labeled, My Family. Just 2 stick figures holding hands. Me and her. My throat tightens as I take the picture. Of course, baby. While I'm finding a magnet, I notice the stack of thank you cards on the counter, handwritten by Mila herself for each friend who came to her birthday. Each one decorated with careful crayon stars. That night, after tucking Mila in, I pass her room and hear her small voice. God, please make Grandma like me more. Something in me shatters. Back at my laptop, I find an email I wasn't meant to see forwarded inadvertently by the hotel. The contract for Savannah's Sweet 16 was signed 3 weeks ago. Before Mila's birthday. They'd known all along they wouldn't be coming. I open a folder on my desktop and create a spreadsheet. Every Venmo request for the past 3 years. The total makes me dizzy. $23,470. My calendar shows 14 vacation days taken for family events, hospital visits when Savannah had minor surgery, helping mother redecorate, driving Lacey to job interviews she never showed up for, 0 days when any of them watched Mila while I worked overtime. I open Facebook. Mother has posted a family photo with the caption, So blessed with my girls. The picture has been cropped. I was standing at the edge, cut out completely. The anger rises in me, not hot and explosive, but cold and clarifying. For the first time in years, I see the pattern with perfect clarity. I pick up my phone and open Venmo. The next day, I stare at the Venmo app on my phone, fingers poised above the screen as if disarming a bomb. The kitchen chair creaks beneath me as I straighten my shoulders. My mother's latest demand glares from my email inbox, $1,850 for Savannah's Sweet 16, with me covering Grandma's share since she's on a fixed income. As if my income stretches like carnival taffy. The audacity burns through me like acid. They skipped Mila's birthday to plan this extravaganza. In the next room, I hear my daughter humming to herself, arranging her stuffed animals for a tea party. No cousins, no grandmother. Just fabric friends who never disappoint her. I tap the screen and create a new payment. The recipient field fills with my mother's name, and I enter the amount, $1. In the memo line, I type a single word, congrats. My thumb hovers over the blue payment button. One press, and everything changes. I think of Mila's face at her party, watching the gate, waiting for family who never arrived. I press send. The confirmation appears instantly. I take a screenshot and save it to a new folder on my phone labeled Boundaries. My lungs expand fully for what feels like the first time in years. The kitchen walls seem to widen around me. Mom, can we have spaghetti tonight? Mila calls from the living room. Absolutely, I answer, my voice steadier than it's been in months. By noon, I've made 3 phone calls that should have happened years ago. The locksmith arrives at 2:15, a stocky man named Frank, who whistles through his teeth as he replaces both front and back locks. The invoice reads $175 less than a single small favor my sisters typically request. All set, ma'am, Frank says, handing me 2 shiny keys. No one gets in without these now. While Mila naps on the couch, I create a spreadsheet documenting every loan my family hasn't repaid over the past 3 years. The total makes my stomach clench, $23,470. Enough for a decent used car, or a year of community college, or braces for Mila, with money left for a family vacation. My phone buzzes incessantly throughout the afternoon. I silence it after the 20th text. Instead, I draft an email to the hotel, hosting Savannah's event, attaching screenshots of correspondence proving I never authorized using my name or business credentials as a platinum sponsor. The hotel manager responds within an hour, apologizing for the confusion, and confirming my name will be removed immediately. By evening, Mila and I sit at our small kitchen table, twirling spaghetti and watching cartoons on the portable TV. She laughs at something silly on screen, tomato sauce dotting her chin. This is enough, I think. We are enough. The doorbell rings at 8:47 p.m. Through the peephole, I see my mother flanked by both sisters. Their faces contort with barely contained rage. Maya Allen, open this door right now. My mother's voice carries easily through the wood. I step back as the pounding begins. The new deadbolt holds firm. Is that Grandma? Mila appears behind me, her eyes wide. Yes, but she forgot to call before coming over, I say calmly. It's too late for visitors tonight. More banging. The doorbell chimes repeatedly. You can't hide in there forever, Savannah shouts. After everything we've done for you. My phone lights up with texts. You're betraying this family. How dare you embarrass us with the hotel? What kind of daughter acts like this? Through the peephole, I watch Mr. Patterson from across the street step onto his porch, arms crossed. The Rodriguez family peers through their blinds. My family has become a spectacle, but for once, I'm not scrambling to fix it. Should we let them in? Mila whispers, clutching my leg. No, honey. Remember our talk about people respecting our home? This isn't respectful behavior. The flash of police lights bathes the living room in blue. I close my eyes briefly. Of course they called the police. When I open the door, Officer Thompson stands on my porch. I recognize him. He coached Mila's soccer team last spring. Evening, Miss Allen, he says, his expression professional but kind. We received a call about a family dispute, something about threats, and a family heirloom being withheld. Behind him, my mother puffs up like a peacock. She's refusing to return property that belongs to our family, she announces, and she's sent threatening messages. I feel Mila's small hands gripping the back of my sweater as she hides behind my legs, her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest. May I come in for a moment? Officer Thompson asks quietly. At my kitchen table, I show him everything. The texts, the emails, the receipts, the screenshot of my $1 Venmo payment. I've been financially supporting them for years without repayment. I explain. I changed my locks today because I'm establishing boundaries. There are no heirlooms, no threats. Just me saying no for the first time. Officer Thompson reviews the evidence, his eyebrows rising occasionally. When he finishes, he leans back in the chair. They're used to you taking care of everything, he says. Now you're changing the rules. That's always hard for people to accept. He returns to the porch where my family waits, their certainty visibly diminishing as he speaks to them. Minutes later, they retreat to their cars, my mother's finger jabbing in my direction before they drive away. After checking the locks twice, I find Mila sitting on her bed, small legs dangling over the edge. "Mom," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "Am I not important enough? Is that why Grandma and my aunts didn't come to my birthday?" The question knocks the wind from me. I kneel to meet her eyes, taking her small hands in mine. "No, sweetheart, you are the most important thing in the world. That's exactly why I have to protect you from people who don't value us." My phone buzzes on the nightstand. Another text from my mother. "You'll regret this. Family is everything." I delete it without responding and tuck Mila into bed, pulling her comforter up to her chin. "It's just us two," I tell her, smiling genuinely for the first time in days, and that's plenty. After she falls asleep, I check my phone one last time. A text from Aunt Carol appears. "You did the right thing. They're furious, but truth is on your side." Another message from Mrs. Wilson next door. "Those brownies cooling on my counter aren't going to eat themselves. You fought the right fight today." My coworker James, "Need extra shifts to rebuild savings? I can swap Tuesday for your Saturday." An email from Mila's teacher. "She seems happier this week. Everything okay at home?" I set my phone aside and breathe deeply. The house feels different tonight, lighter somehow, as if the walls have stopped pressing inward. I've been so focused on building a family that I never noticed a community forming around us, brick by brick, person by person. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. But tonight, for once, I sleep without the weight of impossible expectations crushing my chest. My phone buzzes at 6:30 a.m., jolting me awake before my alarm. I squint at the screen, my stomach dropping when I see Savannah's name. Not a text. A Facebook notification. "Savannah Allen mentioned you in a post." I tap the notification with my thumb, already knowing what I'll find. Her profile loads, revealing a paragraph-long status update. When toxic people show their true colors, some folks pretend to care about family until they're asked to contribute. Then suddenly, they're too good for the rest of us. Guess money means more than memories to certain people. 17 comments already, most from extended family and high school friends I haven't spoken to in years. "So sorry you're going through this, sweetie. Blood isn't always thicker than water. You're better off without negative energy in your life." I scroll through the comments, each one a tiny needle. Nobody asking for my side. Nobody questioning why I might have sent that single dollar. Just automatic assumption that I'm the villain in this story. The bedroom door creaks open and Mila peeks in, hair tousled from sleep. "Mom? Are you okay?" I lock my phone and paste on a smile. "Fine, sweetie. Just checking emails." She believes me, thank goodness, and pads back to her room. I wait until her door clicks shut before opening Facebook again, my finger hovering over the comment box. Paragraphs form in my head, explanations, defenses, receipts, evidence stretching back years. Instead, I type 5 words: "I wish you all well." Then I log off, shut down the app, and slide out of bed. The kitchen feels different this morning. Lighter somehow, despite the social media assault. I pour cereal for Mila, make coffee, check her backpack for homework. Normal routines that suddenly feel revolutionary without the weight of pending family demands. My phone rings while I'm washing dishes, a number I don't recognize, but the area code is familiar. I almost let it go to voicemail, then answer at the last second. "Maya, it's your Uncle Robert. My father's brother, a ghost from another lifetime." "Uncle Robert? I haven't heard from you since." "Your high school graduation. I know." His voice sounds older, rougher. "I heard what happened with Eleanor and the girls." My shoulders tense. "How?" "Small town, plus your mother called me trying to recruit allies, I suspect." A dry chuckle rumbles through the speaker. "Thought you might like to know you're not the first person she's done this to." The dish I'm rinsing nearly slips from my fingers. "What do you mean?" "Why do you think your father left?" 20 minutes later, I'm sitting at the kitchen table staring at a photo. Uncle Robert texted me, "Dad, at my 5th birthday party, eyes hollow, shoulders curled inward." The same expression I've seen in my own mirror for years. History repeating itself, Uncle Robert had said. She drained him for years. Then she moved on to you. The doorbell interrupts my thoughts. I open it to find Mrs. Wilson from 2 doors down, holding a casserole dish. "Chicken and rice," she says, pushing it into my hands before I can object. "The ladies from Street Marks will be by with more tomorrow." Mrs. Wilson, that's really not. We've all been watching. She cuts me off, her voice firm but kind. Some of us have been exactly where you are. Family can be wonderful, or it can be quicksand. Before I can respond, she touches my arm. There's a rotation of us keeping an eye out when certain cars drive by. Just so you know. She leaves before I can thank her properly, the warmth of the casserole dish seeping into my palms. I place it on the counter and notice an envelope that must have been tucked underneath. Inside is a $200 gift card, with a simple note, for Mila's needs. No name, no strings attached, just kindness without expectation of return. The contrast knocks the wind from me. I sink onto a kitchen chair, tears blurring my vision. These neighbors owe me nothing. We exchange waves at mailboxes and occasional small talk about weather. Yet here they are, forming a protective circle while blood relatives wage digital war. That evening, after Mila's asleep, I pull out my budget spreadsheet. For the first time in years, I recalculate without factoring in family emergencies. The numbers shift before my eyes, revealing an extra $732 monthly that's been disappearing into the black hole of my family's demands. $732. Enough for Mila's braces, with some left over. Enough for the education account I've been dreaming about since she started kindergarten. Enough for a modest vacation at the lake this summer, where she can make memories that don't include waiting for relatives who never show up. I stare at the numbers, my breathing growing steadier with each inhale. Then I open a browser and research savings accounts for education. 20 minutes later, I've opened one in Mila's name with a small initial deposit. A start. A seed. The next morning, grocery shopping feels different. I study prices out of habit but realize I'm not calculating each item with the razor-thin margins of before. At the checkout, I splurge on a bunch of tulips, $24 for no reason except they're pretty and will make our dining table cheerful. This small rebellion against scarcity brings a smile to my face that lasts all day. Saturday morning, Mila wanders into the living room while I'm folding laundry. She's wearing her favorite pajamas, the ones with rainbows that are getting too small but she refuses to give up. Aren't we going to Aunt Savannah's party today? She asks, casual as can be. My hands freeze mid-fold. What? The Sweet 16 party. I saw it on your calendar before. She shrugs. Taylor from school is going. Her mom is friends with Grandma. The familiar guilt surges through me, bitter as copper. Should I reconsider? Am I being too harsh? The questions cycle through my head, old programming trying to reassert control. Then Mila adds, I don't really want to go anyway. Those parties are boring. You have to wear itchy clothes and smile all the time. Decision made. How about we go to the park instead? The basketball courts should be empty this early. Her face lights up. Can we get ice cream after? Absolutely. Hours later, we're sitting in a booth at Dairy Dream, sharing a $7 sundae. Chocolate fudge drips down Mila's chin as she giggles about beating me at horse. Her happiness is unfettered, genuine in a way I rarely saw at family gatherings, where she walked on eggshells, desperate for attention that never came. A woman at the next table smiles at us. Would you like me to take your picture? I hesitate, then hand her my phone. She captures us mid-laugh, ice cream and all, our faces pressed together. When she returns the phone, I study the photo, messy, imperfect, radiantly happy. Nothing like the posed family portraits my mother insists on each Christmas, where everyone holds strained smiles and calculated positions. I like this way better than a fancy party, Mila declares, diving back into the sundae. So do I realize. So do I. My phone chimes with a text from Aunt Carol that night. I dry my hands on a dish towel and tap the notification. You dodged a bullet, her message reads. Sweet 16 disaster. Complete train wreck. I sink into a kitchen chair, torn between curiosity and relief. My thumb hovers over the call button, but Carol beats me to it. The phone rings and I answer. What happened? I ask, voice hushed so Mila won't hear from her bedroom. Carol's laugh crackles through the speaker. Where do I start? They seated your mother next to the smoke machine. You know how her asthma acts up. She spent half the night coughing and complaining. Of course she did. I can picture her, dramatically waving her hand in front of her face, making sure everyone notices her discomfort. Savannah fought with the DJ over every song. The poor man looked ready to unplug everything and walk out. Carol lowers her voice. And when the bill came? Eleanor's face turned whiter than that fancy tablecloth. Suddenly, nobody could make eye contact. I wind the dish towel around my finger. How much was it? Let's just say they went way over budget without your platinum sponsorship. They kept glancing at the empty chair where you were supposed to sit, like they'd saved a spot for your wallet. A small, vindicated smile tugs at my lips before guilt squashes it. I shouldn't be happy about their misfortune. It's not misfortune when you design a party around someone else's bank account, Carol says firmly. It's consequence. The next morning, I'm organizing files at work when a shadow falls across my desk. I look up to find my mother standing there, wearing her Sunday dress. We need to talk, she says, loud enough that my coworkers glance over. My stomach drops, but I keep my voice level. This isn't appropriate, Mom. I'm working. She sets her purse on my desk, covering the spreadsheet I've been updating for the past hour. Family comes first. I stand, guiding her toward the break room with a light touch on her elbow. 10 minutes, I whisper. Inside, she launches into a speech about forgiveness and family duty that sounds rehearsed. I recognize pieces of Pastor Wallace's sermons woven throughout. Speaking of Pastor Wallace, she says, adjusting her pearl earrings, he called me after service today. He's concerned about our family division. Said reconciliation is God's way. I stare into my lukewarm coffee. Did you tell him why we're divided? She waves dismissively. Details don't matter when family is involved. They matter to me. That evening, an envelope was waiting in my mailbox. No return address. Inside, a handwritten note reads, "Children need their grandmother. Think about what you're doing to Mila." The next day, Savannah's husband calls. "Just give them what they want," he pleads. "Peace is worth the money, Maya." Then comes the Thanksgiving invitation. Cream cardstock with gold embossing. A handwritten note at the bottom. Water under the bridge if you contribute $750 for the venue. I place it on the counter beside Mila's school photo. Her smile has returned these past weeks, brighter than before. After tucking Mila into bed that night, I sit at the kitchen table with an old family photo in my hands. Christmas, 7 years ago. Dad was still with us then. Mom hadn't yet assigned me his financial responsibilities. We're all smiling, though I remember the argument that erupted 10 minutes after this was taken when Dad questioned the credit card bill. My phone sits beside me, Mom's number highlighted. One tap would reconnect us. One call could smooth everything over. Just another check, another withdrawal from my savings, another promise I'd make to Mila that I'd have to break when their next emergency arose. Mila's voice echoes in my memory. Am I not important enough? I place the old photo in a drawer and replace it with her school picture. The girl with the confident smile deserves better than what I had. The next morning, I draft a letter. Not an emotional plea, but a documented history. Every loan, every missed event, every broken promise with dates and amounts. Terms for future contact laid out in clinical precision. Boundaries with consequences spelled out in language even Savannah could understand. I make copies, one for Mom, one for each sister, one for Pastor Wallace with a cover note explaining the financial manipulation he's been unknowingly supporting. The final sentence takes me 3 attempts to write. This isn't about money, it's about respect. I sign each copy, slide them into envelopes, and send them certified mail. 2 days later, a small envelope arrives, addressed to Mila. The return address belongs to Bethany Thompson, a classmate who couldn't attend her birthday party. Mila tears it open at the kitchen table, her eyes widening at the handmade card covered in glitter and stickers. Sorry I couldn't come. Happy 9th birthday, she reads aloud. She tilts the card, and $3 bills flutter to the table. A note explains, for ice cream. I'm saving up for a bike but wanted you to have this. Mila handles the money like it's made of glass. Mom, can we get ice cream tomorrow? Of course we can. She carefully places the card on our refrigerator, straightening it 3 times until it's perfect. This is the best card ever, she declares. I watch her skip off to her room, the $3 clutched in her hand. $3 from a child saving for a bike, worth more than all the hollow promises my family ever made. The phone rings that evening. Grandma's number. I almost let it go to voicemail but answer on the final ring. Maya, you need to fix things, she says without greeting. Your mother and sisters are fighting constantly since that letter arrived. About what? Money, what else? Your mother says Savannah pushed too hard with that Sweet 16 business. Savannah says Lacey promised you'd cover more than your share. They're all blaming each other for driving you away. I close my eyes, familiar pressure building behind my temples. For a moment, I'm tempted to step in, to mediate as I've always done. Instead, I take a deep breath. I'm not responsible for fixing adult relationships. But you've always been the sensible one. Grandma insists. Yes, I say, watching Mila through her bedroom doorway as she arranges her stuffed animals for a tea party. That's why I'm making a different choice now. I balance on a wobbly stepladder, roller in hand, as soft yellow paint transforms our living room wall. 2 months since I sent that $1 Venmo payment, and the world hasn't ended. In fact, it's gotten brighter literally. Mom, you missed a spot. Mila points with her brush to a patch near the ceiling. Her purple t-shirt bears splatter marks like tiny yellow stars. Got it, Eagle Eyes. I stretch higher, rolling paint over the stubborn white square. What do you think? Better than the old beige? Way better, Mila says, attacking the baseboards with the focus of a surgeon. It's like sunshine inside. The front door opens, and James from work pokes his head in, carrying a bookshelf under one arm like it weighs nothing. Special delivery, he announces. Where do you ladies want this? By the window, I say, climbing down. You didn't have to build it yourself. James shrugs. What else would I do with my weekends? Watch golf? His laughter fills our small house, a sound that once would have made me tense, expecting my mother's judgment about male visitors. Now I just smile, and help him position the oak shelves where afternoon light will hit them. Later, Mila arranges her books by color while I stand back, admiring our handiwork. The calendar on the fridge catches my eye. Movie night, written in Mila's crooked handwriting for Friday. Park day for Sunday. No family obligations. No emergency loans. The tension I carried in my shoulders for years has melted away, leaving room to breathe. Mrs. Wilson called. Mila says, carefully placing her Harry Potter collection on the middle shelf. She wants to know if I can come over tomorrow for knitting lessons. Do you want to go? Mila nods, her eyes bright. She says I have natural talent. Then absolutely. I tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, leaving a smudge of yellow paint on her cheek. Sorry about that. She giggles, deliberately touching my nose with her paintbrush. Now we match. 2 weeks later, Mila stands in front of her third-grade class, holding a poster board titled, My Hero. Her teacher, Mrs. Langston, emailed me about the project, but I wasn't prepared for the lump in my throat when Mila unveils her work. 2 stick figures hold hands against a crayon sunset. Above them, careful letters spell out, My mom taught me that love doesn't hurt. That evening, a note arrives from Mrs. Langston. Mila seems so much more confident these days. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. I place the note on our refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a sunflower, right next to Mila's drawing. Christmas cards arrive, including one with my mother's handwriting. Inside, guilt drips from every line. Families should be together during the holidays. We've all made mistakes. Savannah's text arrives next. I miss my niece. Tyler asks about her. Then Lacey emails about a family healing retreat in Arizona. The price tag, $2,300 per person, makes me snort coffee through my nose. I read each message twice, waiting for the familiar twist of shame and obligation in my gut. Nothing comes. Just calm clarity as I type a single response to all 3. We've moved forward. I wish you well. Our Christmas tree stands 4 feet tall in the corner, adorned with popcorn strings and ornaments Mila crafted at school. The presents beneath it aren't expensive, a new sketchbook, colored pencils, a telescope found at a garage sale, but they're wrapped with care, each tag written in my best handwriting. Mrs. Wilson brings apple cider. James arrives with a casserole that's more cheese than vegetable. Aunt Carol drives 3 hours to join us, bearing homemade cookies and genuine hugs. I brought something else, Carol says, handing me a leather-bound album. The first page reads, Our family of 2 in her elegant script. It's beautiful. I whisper, touching the embossed cover. Room to grow, she replies, nodding toward our guests laughing in the kitchen. January finds me joining a support group for single parents at the community center. February has me volunteering at Mila's school once a month. Uncle Robert, Dad's brother, sends occasional postcards with encouraging notes from his travels. We're building something new, brick by careful brick. As another October approaches, bringing Mila's 10th birthday, I plan a simple celebration. a picnic in the park, a homemade cake, friends who actually show up. The mail brings a card from my mother containing a crisp $50 bill with no strings attached. No demands, no guilt, just, "Happy birthday, granddaughter," signed in shaky script. I consider returning it, then slide it into Mila's birthday fund instead. Boundaries don't mean cutting people off entirely, they mean controlling the terms of engagement. Tonight, after Mila falls asleep, I sit at our kitchen table writing in the journal Aunt Carol gave me for Christmas. The words flow easily. Real family isn't defined by blood, but by the people who show up when it matters. I glance up at our wall, where a new photo hangs in a simple frame, Mila and me, flanked by Aunt Carol, Mrs. Wilson, James, and Uncle Robert, at the park last weekend. Below it, a small wooden plaque reads, "Our family." The house is quiet except for Mila's peaceful breathing from the next room. I close my journal, feeling something I haven't felt in years. Home.